illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild, the power to heal, the future of pain relief.
My name is Dr. Sherry, and today we'll be talking about face masks. Face masks help limit the spread of germs. When someone talks, coughs, or sneezes, they may release tiny droplets.
You're watching MBC.
Good night, St. Lucia, and welcome to another episode of Police Insight. I am your host, Sergeant Zachary Hippolyte of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And people, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to the day where I no longer have to wear this. It's not funny. Good night to our Commissioner, Mr. Sevin Moshiri, our Deputy, Mr. Daisy, good night to you. Mr. O'Brien, our other Deputy, good night to you, sir. Our ACPs, Gazette officers, inspectors, sergeants, corporals, constables, both junior and senior constables, that is. Special police constables, good night to you. Special reserve officers, good night to you. City police, peace wardens, I know you guys are having a hell of a time. I'd like to say good night to you. Ex-police officers, thank you for the service you have given to your country. We all will reach there one day. Good night to you. Our brothers and sisters in law enforcement around St. Lucia, Bodley Correctional Facility, Port Police, St. Lucia Fire Service, Customs, good night to you all. Good night to our brothers and sisters in the region, those of the Caribbean Federation of Police Welfare Associations. All our brothers and sisters, good night to you. I know how could I say that? The monumental task we have as law enforcement officers in dealing with the dreaded COVID-19 pandemic. I have a guest tonight, but before we introduce him, you know already we have our usual intros, our usual, those of you currently logged into the Facebook chat, good night to you. This is where you tell a friend to tell a friend that Police Insight is on. I'd like to shout out Raphael King to Lamentine. How you doing, my brother? Good night to you. Always supporting Police Insight, always supporting the page, always one of the first individuals to share it. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for the support. I'd like to say good night to Kwamika Nelson. Kwamika, how you doing? You okay, my girl? Yeah, you know, we like the fact that the youth, and in your case, very minor, always tuned into the show. Thank you to your mother, Tobiah Eugene, for encouraging you to watch the show. Because on this show, we educate, we promote the community policing agenda of the organization, and all we do is ensure that you get factual information. So, ladies and gentlemen, last Tuesday there was no show. There were circumstances beyond our control, so sorry about that. But I know some of you still enjoyed the replay. We had a rebroadcast where Mr. Claudius Francis was here, and we were talking elections and voting, and trust me, we are going to have him again. Yeah, we will invite him again, especially as the months roll on, as everyone gears for eventually the election, national election. Earlier today, we were given an update by the Honorable Prime Minister, Madam CMO, and also the Deputy Police Commissioner, Mr. Milton Daisy, in terms of the status of the affairs when it comes to the protocols what we're dealing with in terms of this pandemic. So for those of you who missed it, here's a bit of an excerpt from the address by the DCP. Go ahead, Shane. Okay, 1 second, we're trying to get that video. I hope I didn't take Shane by that's what I'm doing there, Shane. Ladies and gentlemen, alright, Shane, let's just pull up the new protocols until we get that video. Yeah, let's just pull up the new protocols so that we could remind the populace what's going on. So for now, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, faith-based organizations may hold daily or regular religious ceremonies. Faith-based organizations must operate within the established protocols with numbers determined by the square footage of the building in keeping with a COVID-19 response plan approved by the Ministry of Equity. So we'll be seeing a little more people, okay, in the churches, yeah? I know a lot of you, especially our faith-believing citizens, are happy about that particular protocol. Yes, let's move on, Shane. Okay, so the measures definitely remain in effect from 17th February 2021 to 16th March 2021. Next slide, Shane. Okay, so gyms are allowed to reopen under strict protocols. Yeah, well, those of you gymming enthusiasts have been waiting for this. Indoor and outdoor training and gym workouts be permitted within the established protocols, and prohibition on contact and non-contact competitive sporting activities shall remain in place. So, people, the fields, football, sorry guys, you just cannot do that as yet, okay? But have some patience. We know for sure if we the people do what we have to do, we will get there. Next slide. Only takeaway service allowed for restaurants. So restaurants and other food establishments shall operate only with a take-away service. People, take-away service. Measures shall remain in effect from 17th February 2021 to March 16th, 2021. So yes, the restaurant sector was hit very hard. They have employees, they got stuff. We still all have to find a way to make a living. So this is a definite welcome for the restaurant sector, but just remember guys, it's to take away, order, collect your stuff and go. Next slide. Funerals and weddings limited to 25 persons in attendance. For those of you who know, before it was actually 10, so it's back up to 25. So faith-based organizations may hold special religious rites, including weddings and funerals with a maximum of 25 persons in attendance. Measures shall remain in effect from 17th February 2021 to 16th March 2021. Let's move on. Businesses are allowed to reopen, and I'm already seeing memes on social media concerning SNS. Commercial and business enterprise may be open for businesses and permitted to operate with the established protocols with minimal operation using a blended approach. But our organization, the Royal National Police Force, we have already preempted that that's a possibility where persons might want to converge on the very favorite business like SNS and other places that they've missed. So we are ready for that. Let's move on. And oh yes, and alcohol sales to resume on February 24th. People, February 24th, not tomorrow. So suspension on sale and disposal of intoxicating liquor to be maintained until 24th February. Upon the lifting of the suspension, no consumption of intoxicating liquor shall be permitted on licensed premises. I'll say that again. No consumption of intoxicating liquor shall be permitted on licensed premises during the period. Passe ale de Kabawi, Westela, Boeti Gogo. Ok, on y peut aller là, acheter t-shirt ou aller, acheter bouteille, aller. Pas Westela. Do not stay in the rum shops, people. I know those in the rural areas, you guys, most times you'll consider, yeah, we're behind, like we like to say in St. Lucia, behind God's back, so we could take a chance. But no, the wardens and the police will be looking out for that. So please, those of you who own the bars and the little shops, sell your stuff and encourage your clients, your patrons to immediately leave. Was that the last one, Shane? One more. Registered farmers and fisher folk included on the essential list of activities, and that's definitely great news. They should have been there from the start, some would say. I mean, these are the people who feed the nation. Yeah, and let's not forget the key word there, registered. All right, registered. So I don't have to say anymore. I know there are some of us, you know, who would want to pretend become farmers overnight, become fisher folk overnight, but that is not the case. You have to be registered, and definitely you're now essential. So throughout the curfew hours, as long as your business permits, your activity permits, whatever you have to do related to work, you won't be bothered by law enforcement. You'll be bothered by me, okay? So that's the new protocols for now, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, the alcohol is not tomorrow, 24th, not tomorrow. Do you have the video now, Shane? Still loading. Okay, so let's continue. All right. Well, at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we will get back to that videos, but let me now introduce my guest. So when we get that video, we'll come back to it. All right. So in studio with me is none other than Mr. Jim Joseph, the president of the Beausejour Community Group. Good night to you, sir.
Good night, Sergeant Zach. I waited a long time to say Sergeant. Huh?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm good. It's an honor to be here, and I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be on the show. I know you've asked me a long time ago to make a presence. I think this kind of collaboration with the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the Beausejour Community Group is something that goes way back. And I think we should be honorary police officers.
Yes.
Maybe that's something we can discuss.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah.
As long as the top cop has no problem with it.
I'm sure he shouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay, we're really happy to have you here, Mr. Joseph. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to be talking about, you know, community policing, civil society groups, how important they are, in the role that they play. In not just fighting crime, in mostly everything. You know, long ago, remember the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a child." Yeah, that still exists despite we have technology and everything else that we're allowing to raise our child in some ways.
It's true.
So let's just move on. It's 1:45. So tell us, Mr. Joseph, who is Jim Joseph? Who is Jim Joseph?
I think a lot of people will want to know that. I think many people have seen me as a community leader, apart from my activities within the community, apart from those who know me in the community. Most persons don't know what I do for a living. But really, I grew up in Beausejour. I grew up to a farmer.
Oh, city guy, but farmer dad.
Yeah, farmer, and my mother sold under the CDC. And we grew up dirt poor. Up until the age of 12, we had no electricity. We had no Wasco pipe-borne water. So I did my standpipe, carrying water from the standpipe every morning to wash dishes, etc. Ran down from Beausejour to Leslie Land to buy groceries, ran back up. Went to the Methodist Infant and Methodist Primary School.
Okay.
Went to the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School.
Oh, excellent.
And from there, I went into computing. It's something that I always wanted to do, and I remember at Comprehensive I did typing. And I was laughed at because everybody wondered why I wanted to do typing.
You know, yeah, a guy.
Yeah, but I wanted to get into computers, and there were no computers on the island back then, but I was determined. I mean, much to the dismay of my parents and persons who felt that I couldn't make it because of my background, but I was determined and I did typing. I got grade 1. The first set of students to sit typing, I got grade 1.
Excellent.
And from there, I got to work with the Commonwealth Development Corporation as a computer technician. So I got to learn how to use PCs and mainframes back then. I went to Canada, did some work, worked with Select and some of the other subsidiary companies.
Lots of experience, I see.
Yeah, so I've been in computers for a long time. At the age of 20-something, I was one of the first persons to get letters after his name from the Association of Computer Professionals and Institute of Data Processing Management. So pretty young, I had letters after my name in computing, etc. So coming from my humble background and being exposed to that, it showed that whatever you set your mind to do,
that's right,
you can accomplish it. And wherever you start out in life does not determine where you end up. So
excellent words.
Yeah, so I say all of this because it has influenced my participation in community life, because it's something that I saw my father do as a farmer. When he died a couple of years ago, I mean, the people who were saying what he did for them, he sent them to school, he paid for, their mortgages, he did all kinds of things. And I couldn't understand how my father did that on the farmer's salary or whatever it was. And we were dirt poor. But this thing about giving back to community is something I think I inherited.
From your dad?
From my dad, from my grandmother. She was dirt poor. And I couldn't understand how she raised my cousins and myself. And she would have a hand of banana and she would tell me, Jim, I'll buy mutton a pot fig bar. And I would say, like, Mom, how come you could give me a hand of bananas to take to her and you have nothing? But I'd go down there and then Mutton would give me some sardines that she had on the tank.
Yes.
Or she would give me something else, a yam or something. And when I came back home, we had a meal. So this thing kind of influenced me into getting into community service. And I think that's why it's a part of me. And it's something that I've been doing like forever. So, community, there's a joy that comes with community service. There's a joy that comes with giving back.
Some people say like you have to be born with it. It's like it's in your DNA.
I think that's it, because it takes a lot. It's self-sacrifice. Mm-hmm. It is going above and beyond, and it's voluntary. It's not like you're getting paid to do it, and the demands that persons make on you. It's to the exclusion of your family, your own life, your social activities, etc. So voluntarism is not something that is easy. But I can tell you it is worth it.
So you're here as the president of the Beausejour Community Group. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about that group?
Well, the Beausejour Community Group is a group that was formed about 15 years ago. When I moved into Beausejour, the condition was such that persons would come to shop in Beausejour. So you would break into a house, you'd steal the TV, and you realize you missed the remote, you would come back and pick it up tomorrow. Because Beausejour, the residents are professionals. Mm-hmm. They leave home 6 o'clock in the morning, come back 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And it was just one spate of break-ins after the other. I had my share of it. I mean, somebody broke into my house while it was under construction. Went with my doors, went with my windows, went with my sinks, my toilets, everything. So we're fed up of this. And a few of us came together and we decided to form a neighborhood watch group.
Oh, I see.
And the motto that we had back then was, I give you permission to mind my business. So we forged a relationship amongst ourselves. And we decided to do things together. We put together a constitution, etc.
That was about how much of you at the time? How many of you, sorry?
That's about, I'm living there about 15 years, so somewhere.
No, I mean in terms of the persons who first formed.
Oh, it started out in phase 2. Mm-hmm. A handful of persons. Yeah. Okay. Because basically you have like a core of persons who start off. So we met at my house. And we came together and we decided to come together and form that constitution. And then somebody else took it and ran with it. So she was president for a while. There's an executive in place. And I think after a while they burnt out. So they passed it on to myself. and another individual, and that was the beginning of it. But a community group is something that is challenging, because you have persons who are volunteering to take part in something. They're not paid, and it demands a lot. So we first had to learn how to develop relationships amongst ourselves. I think that is key. And from there, the rest was easy. So a lot of the key persons who form part of the executive of the Beausejour Community Group are persons who were there from inception. And we've weathered the storm. So part of team building and the stages of team building form a critical component of what we have today. So basically, our group is a non-political, it's a non-profit organization made up of residents within Beausejour. And our objective is to build capacity within the community.
In the community, okay.
Yeah. Our group, if you could pull up the logo that we have, Mr. Technician Shane.
Yeah, the logo, Shane? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think the logo speaks to the mandate of our community group.
There it is.
Right. So you can see the different colors in this logo. You can see red and yellow holding hands.
Yeah, I'm wondering why.
Right. So it's the non-partisan
interesting.
approach that we have. You can see black and white, meaning that we don't know race, we don't know creed. You could see, well, green, of course, is another party as well.
Back then.
And then you could see the colors of the flag, of the national flag. The center is the community group. And you could see that the circle looks like the stadium, and it also looks like gears. So this speaks to the motto of the group, which is progress in unity. And I think unity is something that is key to everything that we do. And our goal is to make sure that we work with social partners for the betterment of the community.
You can take it down now, Shane.
Yeah. This has been a challenge for us over the years because some community groups are partisan.
Yeah, we cannot get away from it.
We can't. Yeah, so that has been a challenge for us, and I'm happy to say that over the years we've weathered that storm, and we've worked with the different parties who've come into power, and we've tried not to be influenced by any political organization.
Stick to your core objective.
Yeah, we stick to our core objective because our mandate is to work with social partners, including government, for the betterment of the community.
You guys have been around for 15 years. Can you speak to some of your successes, projects in terms of your group?
Where do I start?
Oh, there's so much.
Yeah. In 2019, we won the Lillet Award, the bronze medal for the bronze trophy for the Lillet Award, which is an award given to organizations within the Gros Islet community for high level of achievement in different areas. So we got the bronze trophy for long-standing community service, and I received the silver medal of honor for long-standing community service. So over the years, what we've done is we've tried to set up within the organization what we consider like key positions to take care of the different affairs within the community. So we have officers who are responsible for different areas and looking at different needs of the community. So apart from the vice president, the president, we have an auditor who audits every single thing that we do. So over the years we had like transparency in terms of what we do. So every single email that goes out, every single cent or dollar that goes through the organization, the auditor has to make sure that it goes through her. We have somebody who is responsible for disaster response. and that person sits on the committee. Deepa Gidhari, she sits on that committee. In NEMO and different other disaster-related organizations. We have somebody who is responsible for sporting activities, somebody who's responsible for environmental issues. So anything dealing with climate change and the environmental issues, that person deals with it. We have somebody who's responsible for the sick and shut-ins. So anybody who's sick within the community and has issues, then she reaches out to them, etc. We have somebody who's responsible for the elderly as well.
That's good.
Yeah. So we look out for the elderly within the community. Of course, you have the fundraising aspect. So we have somebody who's responsible for fundraising. So any fundraising activities within the community, the person looks out for it. So we have, like I said, different areas within the community where we address the needs of the community so that we have a balanced approach in what we do. So over the years, what we've done is we've had like a number of activities scheduled, a calendar of activities throughout the year.
Okay.
So we have every year a Journée Creole event for Beausejour, where persons from Beausejour come together. And it started out like in my yard. Well, it started out in the community, then moved to my yard. And then the last time we had it at the cricket ground. So imagine the whole Beausejour coming into the cricket ground and, planning from weeks in advance, making bakes, cocotier, etc. And persons coming together and contributing. And on that day, everybody just goes to the cricket ground. We have an annual family fun sports day where the whole of Beausejour come together again. And we have houses, so we have like different colors. Last year we had 2 colors. So you pick for a color, and on that day you just go to the different houses and you compete against each other. So we have medals, we have trophies, etc. It's really beautiful. Lime and spoon, sack race, etc. This is one of the highlights, and COVID-19 has affected this. We have not been.
That was actually going to be my next question.
Yeah. Just imagine a whole stadium just filled with people from your community. So you get to meet persons who you never interacted with. You get to associate with them and compete. You get to see like persons compete, and you get to share, etc. It's really, really beautiful. We have an annual fun walk within the community. So there are persons, Beausejour is a very large community, so we have like an annual fun walk where we walk through the community. So we plot a different route each time. So you go up into the hills and into the different sections of the community.
I took part in one, I remember.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And it's well organized with numbers, everything. We have so many activities. We look at the different things within the community. So we have different cleanup activities where we do debushing. When we can't get assistance, we take care of our road repairs, etc.
Yes.
So the community is a very, very active community. We look out for the elderly, those who need assistance, etc. So we work with other social partners. So we work with the police, we work with NEMO, work with the Red Cross, we work with international organizations, etc. We liaise with other social partners, utility companies, etc. So if there's a problem in the area, the community group would liaise with WASCO or Lucelec to find out when schedules are, water schedules, to find out how water needs to be routed within the community. So if, for example, somebody on the hill does not have water, we're able to direct WASCO on how to get the water up, what section should be closed, etc. So we have a very well organized group. We have like different channels of communication so that messages get filtered to persons in terms of response to crimes, etc. So we have a very quick turnaround in terms of the response from the police into the community. So it is really, really organized. Yeah.
Excellent. We're going to take a break now, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, he spoke about the relationship with the police. I'm going to ask Mr. Joseph about the crime issues in his community, and probably with the response, you could probably get some assistance with your community. Stay tuned to Police Insight.
Because of how quickly the coronavirus spreads, each new case calls for increased public vigilance. Know what is happening, understand why, and comply. Think of the protocols as war tactics. Personal protection tactics. Keep 6 feet away from others. Avoid riding the bus, gathering on beaches, in bars, and shops. Public protection tactics. Quarantine yourself if you feel fluish in case you have been exposed. Call 311 or a respiratory clinic for advice. Country tactics. Partial lockdown. Supermarkets, small grocers, pharmacies, and ATMs are accessible before curfew. Total lockdown. Everywhere stays closed 24/7 for a stipulated period. Team tactics. Don't only follow the protocols. Be a protocols police. Let's win this.
Together let us win this war. Say you shall be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? When there's help for you, at Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild, the power to heal, the future of pain relief.
Hi, my name is Sidil, and you may know some of my hits like this one.
Don't play with man. Man pull up like 10 bad man.
Our music inspires and entertains. It powers festivals and is an integral part of our history and culture. Creating good music takes hours of thought, writing, arranging, recording, and production. When people or businesses who use our music publicly or for commercial gain get a music license, they're not just keeping the law. They're also supporting music creators, producers, musicians, singers, sound engineers, and many others in the music industry. Keep the great music coming. Get a music license for your business place or event. Support music rights.
For more information, visit echorights.com. This message is brought to you by Echo and this Echo license station. Echo. Protecting music rights.
All for great savings, right? Flow gives you up to $80 a month off your mobile by just adding it to your home bundle. Enjoy the fastest internet speeds and free mobile calls from your home phone, plus HBO and free internet speed upgrade. That's more value while you spend less. Switch today, bundle and save up to $80 a month off your mobile. Call us at 1-800-804-2994 or visit us in store. Flow, keeping you connected. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Police Insight. Your host here, Sergeant Zachary Hippolyte, Royal National Police Force. In studio with me is the president of the Beausejour Community Group, Mr. Jim Joseph. As you know, every time at this point in time, after 9 or at 9, I say good night to all of you who are locked in on the chat. So good night to Manny Joseph, Neil Philip, Travis Philogen, Victor C. Anthony, good night to you, buddy. Candida Daniel, good night to you. Marilyn Kamshan, Octavia Rosalie, Valencia Alexander, Angela Hippolyte, Junior Yuli, good night to you. Who else is there? Maurice Cox, Janine Lucia, Ivy, Michelle, good night to you all. Shane, do we have the video now? Okay, let's just get this quick excerpt from the Deputy Police Commissioner, and then we will continue our conversation with our guest. Right.
What they ought to do. However, I must indicate that over the past few weeks, we have been out there, what I would say, running after persons, asking them to observe protocols, observe the whatever measures that is in place for them. However, I think the time has come now so that action, the police, we need to take action. We have been taking action, but we need to enforce, and we need to let persons know that, especially with the opening, with the new business places opening, that they need to be serious and they need to be responsible. We have, we've had instances where just for the past week, where 15 business operations, individuals were arrested for breaches being committed. We had 45 persons for individual breaches. So the police is out there, the police is working, but what we need to ensure is that persons who, especially those who are not supposed to open, they remain closed, and persons who are supposed to open, they maintain the protocols. And we believe that in the Peter paying for Paul thing should not work. I think that persons, they are given the opportunity to operate, and you shall operate within the parameters. We will be out there, persons would be reported. There's instances where the licenses could be suspended for a certain period, and these are the things that we want to see happen. These are the things that will happen. We would be going out there, especially at the roadblocks and so on, because what you find happening is, in as much as places are permitted to open, but there's the curfew part of it, where people are supposed to be out and to return home. So we have between 7 and 4 a.m. So that is sufficient time, especially for the farmers, the fisher folks, to be going out there early morning, so to start their day. So, but the police would be there. Also, I would urge the police officers themselves, to be of example to persons in the community, because in every community we have police officers who live in the community, who know what is going on, and we need to take the requisite action so that persons comply with the various protocols that's in place. So in short, what we are saying is, I believe the time has come for us to take the definite action in terms of persons who are not complying. It's not about going after persons and so on, but it's just that persons need to understand, and the laws has to be maintained, and that we would enforce it.
Thank you so much, dear Deputy Commissioner.
And what was important, well, everything he said was important, ladies and gentlemen, but what also strikes me is his plea to police officers in their communities, you understand, to not turn the blind eye, and I know, guys, it's tough, you know, the job is demanding, but the reality of it is, a police officer is looked upon as a peacekeeper. I mean, Mr. Joseph, the amount of times individuals have come and knocked on my door when I want to sleep, it is ridiculous. But when you have that genuinity in you, it's kind of difficult to pretend that you don't hear or you're not going to assist, because sometimes when you that little quarrel or that little issue between these two individuals, though it may look petty, it can turn out to be something very serious.
Definitely.
Having said that, let me ask you, Mr. Joseph, what issues does your group or your community face in terms of crime or social issues or social problems and stuff like that?
I think our community group our community, is no different than any other community on the island, because human nature is what it is. It's human nature. I think we have categorized or stigmatized crime, or we look at crime as something that is committed in the ghetto. And we give a lot of emphasis to ghetto-related crime. We look at persons from a particular socio-economic class as being the perpetrators of crime. And we have our social programs geared towards helping those persons. But we don't think about white-collar crime, or we treat it differently. I can speak for myself, because I spoke to you about growing up dirt poor. We have something that we say, that the crimes that are committed in society are created because of unemployment.
Yes, we've heard that a lot.
We've heard that a lot. And I can tell you, I grew up dirt poor, and I told you up until the age of 12, we had no water, right? We had pit toilets, no electricity, we had a lamp, etc. All right? I went to school with jarries, etc. But I knew what I wanted of myself, and I knew where I wanted to go, and I didn't allow that to deter me. I grew up almost without a father, and I kind of grew up on my own. I moved to my apartment very early. And because of my experience in computers, I was one of the best computer professionals on the island. There's a lot of money back then, because you're talking about the top lawyers in the island, etc. And I was involved in setting up a number of the big systems there. And so money was not an issue. So imagine coming from being dirt poor to all of a sudden having money in your hand. So it was women, it was cars. I tried to have like an identity in my education and what I had. I tried to impress people. And what happened to me personally is, after a while, you get some money here, you take some from here, etc. And I'm 55, and 30 years ago, I reached a place where the money was not coming fast enough, and I started writing bad checks, and before you know it, I was using people's money, and I found myself in prison.
I see.
At the age of 25.
It takes a lot to actually say that.
No, that's my testimony.
Sure, that's great.
No, that wherever I go, this is my testimony.
Okay.
Some time ago, I was in a lecture. I was doing a lecture with your crimes division. Some of the senior persons within your division, and we're talking about emotional intelligence.
That's right.
And I was trying to explain this concept to them about the importance of changing the way policing is done. That policing is done with the intent of incarcerating somebody. And I was speaking to some of your senior officers, and they were saying, no, but they know what they're doing, right? And I was saying, no, but your role, even though the person knows what they're doing, that doesn't mean that they have the power to not do what they're doing.
Some of us think that way.
And they're like, no, but he knows what he's doing. And I took a minute and I said, okay, well, I've spoken to you about what I do. I'm a consultant, international consultant. I set up information systems all over the place. I spoke to all what I do as a community leader. But I want to tell you that I was incarcerated when I was 25. And you could see the jaws drop.
Yes.
And I said, I can speak from my own personal experience. I knew what I was doing was wrong. But I always thought that, hey, I would never get caught. I thought that I could always find a way. And it's almost like you're living in a world outside of yourself. And there's several things, And I'm speaking to the young people out there, right? That we especially now, right? We need people around us who will hold us accountable. Because around me, I had people who were enablers. Maybe not directly, but they knew what I was doing, but they did not tell me, Jim, stop what you're doing because you're going to end up there. They enjoyed everything, the benefits of what, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have a father to say, Jim, what you're doing is wrong, or Jim, stop it, or whatever, or to put me to sit down. I did not have a sense of self-worth. I didn't understand who I was. It was all about me. So I wanted this. I wanted the women. I wanted the cars. I wanted the money. So I took it. I didn't think about the other person. That was not what was on my mind. But when I got incarcerated, I got a chance to look at myself. And I'm like, what on earth am I doing in here? I mean, here I am. I was in a cell with 3 murderers. Right? 3 guys who were murderers. And I'm like, but what am I doing here? Right? And in there, I made the determination that when I came out, I mean, I didn't know when I'd come out. It just looked impossible. But when I came out, I would devote myself to giving back to society. All right?
You made that conscious decision.
But before I could do that, I had to look at myself. I had to take stock of myself. What's my worth? What's my purpose? I didn't understand what my purpose was. And a lot of people, a lot of young people do not understand what their purpose is. They don't understand why they were put here. It's about themselves. It's about living for the moment, right? It's about enjoying the pleasures. It's about trying to find your identity in something, in the things you have, in the education, in women, like somebody telling you what your worth is, rather than you understanding what your worth is. That it's something that God has given to you before you were even placed here, right? And I'm saying all of this to say that a lot of times we focus on the guys in the ghetto. I'm going back to the point that I was making, right? And we try to reach them. But we figure somebody at Capet State does not need to have any type of intervention done to them, right? We treat the persons who commit white-collar crimes differently from those who are in the ghetto, right? So going back to the question that how does my community deal with crime? I think as a community group, and what I try to do as a leader is try to be the example, right? To give of myself, no matter what it takes, to give of myself. So whatever it takes to make sure that I'm the first to be there. If it is to cut grass, if it is to go and help somebody, if it is to volunteer, to write an app, if it is to go carry water, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Use my resources to give back. Because to me, there's a joy that comes with knowing that, hey, I'm not just taking, but I am giving. So this thing about crime, it's about a lack of self-worth. It's like if you don't love yourself, you cannot love somebody. And that love that you have first has to come from an understanding of God's love for you, right? And that has to be manifested. It's a deep love that you have to know that this love, it's not something that others, things outside of you can give, right? I think until we all come to that place, then we will always be looking for something. And I think COVID-19 has brought us to that place where that's a reality, because the things that we once looked up to, our jobs, our positions, our houses, our status, everything has crumbled. And now we come back to the place where we're asking ourselves, who am I? Right? I have friends who were pilots. Now they're not working, and they have to ask themselves, who am I?
I see.
Guys who were managers now have to ask themselves, who am I? And something that they never asked themselves, because their identity was based on what they had. So whereas they had this false sense of identity in their house, now they're almost at the same place with the guys in the ghetto with nothing.
I understand what you mean,
looking for a hand out, right? So I'm saying all of this to say that crime is not about those things, but it is persons who are trying to get something to give them a sense of worth or sense of well-being. And they will do anything to fit in. So you want to feel like you belong, so you will commit a crime so that you could be part of something. You could have the car, you could have the house, you could have the shoes. You can be part of a gang or something.
But you would agree, Mr. Joseph, that there are different levels of crime that, or different forms of crime that some might have an issue understanding. For example, let's look at, and I know Beausejour went through that experience, on one occasion, when you look at the offense of a sexual assault. How can you actually put your shoes in your feet in the shoes of the individual who has planned and acted upon such feelings that they decided or made that conscious decision to assault a female?
It goes back to that same thing that I was speaking about. That you're operating on a premise that is selfish, or is self-gratification. In other words, whether it is sex, whether it is corporate crime, whether it is theft of something, breaking and entering, it is taking something that you think you should have, and nothing should stop me. All I could think of is myself. And this is what we have to understand. Unless we get back to that place where persons understand that it is not about them, that you have to, the saying, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. It's about understanding. Look, the Bible talks about two things, like love towards God and love towards your fellow man. If you take a minute and you think about the other person, well, how am I impacting that other person? How am I affecting that other person, right? Then some of those things we would not do. But the thing is, have we been cultured to think that way? Because our system, well, I don't like to use the word system, but the things around us, advertising, television, marketing, everything is geared towards the external, getting, having, right? I mean, how many ads have you seen about giving? You know, when you're young, how many of you would say, like your parents would tell you, like we're growing up, my grandmother would tell me, Ali Benesa by Maton. How many persons now tell their children, look, go and volunteer to do something. Go and help this person. Go clean up the grass in your area. Go do this, right? COVID-19 is teaching us that we have to reach outside of ourselves, right? That we have to give, and then in return we get. You understand? But it is a total mentality, a total shift. And I'm saying when it comes to crime, it is about the same thing. So it is about empowering persons. And that's where it starts, right? In re-educating ourselves. Because it first comes with us taking stock. But if persons have not been cultured or trained to think that way, that we blame the system. We blame our circumstances. I grew up poor, so I automatically will fall in this bracket. Or this is where I will be. Or this is where I can reach. Unless we get to that place where we understand that these things are crutches, right? That we can use. Albeit there may be genuine reasons, but it is what it is. It's a reason, right? But it's not authentic, right? I mean, look, there are certain laws that apply, and there are certain laws that, for example, a plane, right? A plane can't just take off, right? There's a law of gravity that keeps it down.
That's right.
Right? But there's another law called the law of aerodynamics that supersedes the law of gravity. That if you have enough force, right?
Yes.
You have lift and propulsion, you take off. So I'm saying many times we think about the things that keep us down, like gravity. But we don't have somebody to tell us, look, there's another law, right, that you can apply in your life, right, that will cause you to lift and to soar, to go beyond where you are. But I don't like to use the word system, but we've been cultured to think and programmed to think that, you know, we can't get any further. And I think we're doing our young people a disfavor, because now you don't have people telling us how to dream, how to hope, how to believe. You know, how to think, even with this pandemic. I mean, how many people have you heard who have inspired hope beyond what we're facing now? It's about doom and gloom. But it's an opportunity for us to say, look, let's pull our resources together. Let's come together. Let's go back to this Kudme mentality. Because our parents, I mean, I grew up with nothing. Now my cousins are in England. I mean, one is coming back to live here next month. I mean, she just bought a 300-something thousand US dollar house, right? Coming back to retire here. And all my cousins are doing good, have good jobs and all that. Why?
You speak of the Kudme mentality. Do you think that, let me ask this instead. What do you think community groups can do to try to bring that type of mentality back in their communities?
You see, I don't like to label like community groups, and I think it is an individual thing.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
Because I think for too long we've been cultured to think, well, what should politicians do? What should the government do? What should that group do? I think it's COVID-19 is showing us that it's something that we have to do on an individual level. And this is what I ask myself. When I wake up in the morning, I don't ask myself, what does my community group do, you know? And they could tell you. They will see me 5 o'clock in the morning cutting grass down the lane, the whole road. I don't ask them to come and join me.
But some would say, we voted for the politician, we voted for the individual, so they need to do what they got to do. They should be doing for me. No, I don't really have anything to do for myself.
You see, there's a place for elective politics, right? There's a role for the politician. And that's why I like the construct of our community group, right? Okay. Where we collaborate with social partners, and everybody has their role. And you see what we say, progress in unity. And I think we have to understand, it's not about saying we don't need the politician, we don't need central government, we don't need that. We're saying we need everybody to play their part, and all of us have to come together. And it begins with all of us asking ourselves, what can I do? Right? I mean, what can I do for the betterment of my family? What can I do for the betterment of my street, the street where I live? What can I do for the betterment of the section of my community? What can I do for my community? What can I do for my district? And as a collective, as a country, what can we do? Unless we start thinking from this perspective, we will fail. Because we have to understand that politics and community-based the political structure and the community-based structure is different.
They cannot go hand in hand?
No. Hear what I'm saying? I said they all work hand in hand.
Okay.
But I'm saying their construct is different.
Okay.
A politician wants you to have your hand outstretched. Because his role, by the very definition of politics, his role is to have you reaching to him, looking to him to providing. A community group's role is that of empowerment, right? Of making sure that you, in other words, I am teaching you how to fish. I am not handing you a fish. Whereas a politician's role is to give you a fish so you keep coming back because it's his job, right? I'm not saying that it is wrong because that's what we have. That's the system that we have, right? I mean, it goes back, right? This is the role of a king. This is the role of a ruler. That's how it has always been. But as a community group, our way of operating has to be different. It has to be of empowerment. I'm not saying that politicians do not empower, but I'm saying because our role, it's voluntary, right? We're not paid, right? It's something that you do voluntarily, right? So, I go back to this thing that you're talking about, crime. How does my community group deal with crime? Okay? It's what we do in dealing with every single problem that we have, and it's something that I do is, it's a methodology that we use, a problem tree, solution tree methodology.
Okay, just hold on there, Mr. Joseph, because we're due for a break. When we come back, we're going to hear a little more about this methodology. And also, Mr. Joseph is going to, especially those of you who are listening and would like to do more in your community to assist the police in fighting crime, he's going to give us his tips. So stay tuned to Police Inside.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
Hi, my name is Sidil, and you may know some of my hits like this one.
Don't play with man. Man pull up like 10 bad man. Mini man.
Our music inspires and entertains. It powers festivals and is an integral part of our history and culture. Creating good music takes hours of thought, writing, arranging, recording, and production. When people or businesses who use our music publicly or for commercial gain get a music license, they're not just keeping the law. They're also supporting music creators, producers, musicians, singers, sound engineers, and many others in the music industry. Keep the great music coming. Get a music license for your business, place, or event. Support music rights.
For more information, visit echorights.com. This message is brought to you by Echo and this Echo license station. Echo, protecting music rights.
All for great savings, right? Flow gives you up to $80 a month off your mobile by just adding it to your home bundle. Enjoy the fastest internet speeds and free mobile calls from your home phone, plus HBO and free internet speed upgrade. That's more value while you spend less. Switch today, bundle and save up to $80 a month off your mobile. Call us at 1-800-804-2994 or visit us in store. Flow, keeping you connected. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Police Insight. Your host here, Sergeant Zachary Hippolyte, and in studio with me is the president of the Beausejour community group, Mr. Jim Joseph. We're also going to open up the lines at this point in time. Shane, open up the lines. If you have any questions for myself or my guests, feel free to call 4533-911. I repeat, 4533-911. You could also WhatsApp me on 7200401, 7200401. Before we continue the conversation, let me just see some comments here. Tobias Eugene says, yes, we need to lead by example. Let's see. We have some people agreeing with what you've been saying, Mr. Joseph. Caribbean Sunshine says, the sad thing is most talk a good talk about helping and shaping our youth, but at times we pick and choose who to help. We look at people and say, oh, this person don't need help. Thank you, Caribbean Sunshine, for that comment. And we have Junior Yuli saying, best thing is for government of St. Lucia to do is to censor the violent music on television and on internet. Could be a start in St. Lucia. Making it seem cool to do criminal acts should also be a crime. This is why we need to change our constitution. But there is somebody who's saying that that looking at technology also is really a...
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Mr. Joseph?
I think it's a myriad of things.
Yeah.
And like I said, it goes back to our value system. What we accept as ours. And I think pop culture has done us good, but has done us disfavor. in many ways, because some of the values that we had when we were growing up, certain things that we would not accept and would not tolerate, and things like respect, things like accountability, things like honesty, integrity, your word, things like that. Just basic kindness, of politeness, pleasantries. We've lost those things and we've gotten callous, all right? I mean, just before COVID-19, what was the murder rate? I mean, almost every day you were seeing a graphic image of somebody being killed brutally, right? And we just looked at it and, okay, wow, next. And I think when COVID hit, all of us stopped, and to me, we got a conscience, right? Suddenly we found our conscience again. I think now is a time for us to look deep within ourselves and see what it is we as individuals truly accept as ours, right? What really makes us human. And I think COVID-19 is an excellent opportunity for us. I mean, basically what people are looking for is love, right? I remember I was the senior computer programmer for government for 11 years, and I started a group in Conway for kids. We had about 40 kids, just me, myself, my assistant programmer, and my secretary. We formed a group for the kids in Conway. I mean, those kids used to vandalize the vehicles outside the buildings, etc. But we decided to take them in. So every Saturday we would take them out. I'd take them to my house, we'd take them to the beach, we'd expose them to different socio-economic classes, help them to meet with different people who would expose them. Slowly we started asking persons within the different buildings to help them with their after-school work and all that. And guess what? These children, the buildings just took over those kids. Those kids used to be in the building and all that. And before you know it, they stopped vandalizing the vehicles, right? I saw love transform those children's hearts, right? I mean, something touched me once. I went to St. Vincent, and when I came back, the kids were like, Uncle Jim, you'll be so proud of us. I'm like, my goodness, what do these kids do? They tell me, yeah, this girl was passing. She was selling some peanuts. And then one of us said, let's rob her and take her money. And then we said, no, let's ask her why she's selling the peanuts. And she said, well, my house burned down, and my mommy tell me, go and sell the peanuts and thing. And the kids told me, you know what they did? They had money for Christmas. They took their toys, they sold it. They bathed her. They bought toys for her and stuff. And they gave her some money. And I said, but why did they all do that? He said, because you and Auntie Rona and Auntie Sam, you all show us how to love. I mean, that broke me. The kids were excited to meet with me to tell me that. I mean, I cried. To think that these were the kids, I mean, their parents were like, I mean, right? But it showed that love was able to transform those kids, right? And I think we have reached a place where we have not shown love and appreciation, right? And I think we need to get back to the place, right? Like persons who are volunteering and doing all of that, how much appreciation do we show those people?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Volunteering is a difficult thing. I could tell you as a community leader. Sometimes you do things to people and they don't even say thanks, but you do it nonetheless, right? People just take it for granted that he'll always do it.
Yes.
Right? She'll always do it. The buik will always do it. And you have activities and maybe the same core of people are involved and all that.
Most of the time.
So I'm saying this is a plea, right, for all of us to see what we can do to help, right? To reach out to our fellow man, to see how we can make life easier, because this pandemic is showing that, and I called last week to Gaspar's show to say that, the persons who are on the poverty line, the persons who require assistance are not just the people sitting outside Constitution Park. But sometimes it's those people in the big houses who can't pay their mortgages, right? Who have nothing to eat but will not come out and tell you that, all right? So we have to get together, get to know your neighbor. There's not time for you to say, I'm not talking to this person, I'm not dealing with this person, And I think politics has divided us, right? I mean, I'm happy for the convent initiative, and it's a breath of fresh air where persons are coming together. I was kind of getting tired of this red and yellow thing, right? Of dividing. And I think, you know, we need to get back to the place. I mean, somebody just spoke about constitution reform.
Yes.
And I think it's important because our system gives too much power to the wrong people. I may be thinking for saying that, but
yes, you would be.
I don't know. Yeah, but you know, the people on the ground who know what it is within the community, who, you know, for some people, it is my constituents. For some of us, it is Miss Brown, right? And her child, her 16-year-old, and her little daughter Mary, right? Their father left them, right, for another woman, and who's working at the hotel. These are people you know intimately, but for some people it's a number, right? And I think we need to get to the place where persons within community groups such as ourselves or local councils can use resources to help persons in the different communities, but the structure that we have does not lend itself to that, right? So community leaders, the importance of community groups, I cannot state it enough, that it is important for us now to set up community groups, neighborhood watch groups within our different communities to sort of bridge the gap between central government. Like I said, I'm not against central government. Central government has its role. The parliamentary rep has his role, right? And we work with the different parliamentary reps, regardless of political affiliation. We work with the councils, etc. And I think it's important for there to be greater collaboration between central government and community groups. And it's sad that, I mean, over the years, I can tell you that as a community leader, almost every single parliamentary rep looks at community groups as anti what they're doing. You think that they would want to embrace it and
for a certain time.
Yeah, for a certain time. And to me, it shouldn't be so, because as a community group, until we want to work with the parliamentary reps.
You speak of neighborhood watch groups, which is very good, and I want those who are listening to understand that the reason why this is such a great initiative, and Mr. Joseph could attest to this, is that we all know, and some people don't like to hear it, but the reality of it is we don't have the luxury of having a police officer on every street corner in front of every house. We need to take responsibility for our communities, and the way we do that is by coming together.
Of course.
Is it not right, Mr. Joseph?
Of course, because we were key in partnering with the former ASP in Grosley, ASP Thomas, with his initiative, Policing My Community, all right? Where you build capacity within the community to be able to police your community. In other words, you're the eyes and ears on the ground. You're the first responders. You're the one to alert before the police comes on the scene. You don't want to look out for your neighbor. You don't want to alert, right? So I think it's important, and we have a very, very active neighborhood watch group within the Beausejour community. And we have this collaboration, like I said, with the police, where within, well, no time, we have police officers. I mean, my own house was broken into maybe about 4 times or so, and in each instance, we're able to catch the persons. I mean, before you know it, SSU is around my house or in the neighborhood, etc., right? Why? Because we have that sort of vigilant thing, all right? I mean, recently we've had some incidents, and you mentioned it, of sexual assault within the community. And we had this brainstorming session with a number of police officers and the parliamentary rep and the neighboring community group, Kaimaje. And what we did this problem tree, solution tree analysis that I spoke about, where you don't just look at it as a rape, but you don't just look at it as a crime, but you try to understand what is the root cause, what is the core problem, and what is the root cause. Because many times we look at it as a rape, and we say, okay, how do I solve the rape?
Yes.
But the rape is not the issue, right? There's a core problem that you need to identify, and then you need to break. It's like a tree, right? If you have a tree and you keep cutting the leaves, it will grow back. If you cut the stem, it will grow back. But you need to go down to the root cause. And many times the problems we deal with in society is like the leaves. Oh, but why are they doing that? But the police not doing that. We react. These are the leaves. We keep cutting this up here, right? Or we go to the trunk and we trying to fix a problem. We're trying to fix a sexual assault, but that's not it, right? Or we're trying to solve crime in the community, and that's broad, right? So what we're able to do with this situation is to narrow it down, right? And to recognize that the core problem is unsafe areas within Beausejour, right? So how do you deal with this? So we're able to break it down, and how we're able to do it is by asking ourselves why. And why is something that we don't ask ourselves, right? When we're small, we'd ask ourselves why. Or your kid would ask you, Tom, don't do that. Why? Because if you put that there, it will fall. Why? But as adults, we don't ask ourselves why. And it's important for us to ask ourselves why. So we keep getting down. Why? Okay, why is it unsafe? Okay, because we have vacant lots in the area. Why? Because persons live overseas or they're not attending to it. Why? So we keep going down. So we go again. The person was raped. Why? Because they're walking alone. Why?
I see.
So we keep going down. Okay? Another thing, we go again. Why? Why? Because there was no way of communicating with the police. Why? So we keep going down.
So your group does not just...
No, we don't just take something...
report the issue, let the police...
No.
You'll actually have a deep analysis in the community as to why this happened.
Yes.
And then you look at solutions to rectify
How do you deal with it, right?
Interesting.
So recently we had a case, for example, where somebody came and they said, well, okay, we have the crime in the area, so what we're going to do, we're going to come and we're going to just cut all the trees in the area and debush the area. We have a cleanup. And I said,
which is usually the normal response.
Yeah, and I'm saying, but no, what we've already done. I mean, I was trying to get your guy to pull it up on screen, but to show how we actually broke it down, right? So what we did like a methodical thing in terms of identification within the community, etc., right? So one of the things that we look at is sustainability. And of course, we do cleanups all the time in Beausejour, and because of COVID-19, we could not clean up. So what we've decided to do is to have persons within the community, residents, responsible for areas like in front of your home and the next two lots. So you're responsible for that. So
you're assigned people.
You're assigned to that. In that road, you're assigned. So in my area, 3 weeks ago, this is what we did. And we had planned that like about 2 weeks in advance. I think you may have seen it on Facebook, right? So every single person came out. We socially, physically distanced, so a house apart. So you come out, and you and your family, you cut the bush in front of your house, and there. The next family comes out, we do this. If there's 2 free vacant lots, then we decide, okay, how are we tackling this? But
so you're not waiting on the council to come and do it?
No, but why should you wait on the council? Because it's affecting you. When somebody rapes you, the council is nowhere around, The police is nowhere around. It is yours. And there's a certain pride that comes with knowing that you clean up your community, that you have done something, right? Right? That you've contributed. I mean, if you go up Darren Sami Drive, you could see. I mean, every single person came out, right? Little kids, etc. And this is what we did. I mean, even in terms of fixing our roads, right? I mean, so I'm saying this is how we did it. In terms of the street numbering, I mean, something that we did. When we talk about putting signs in the community, we didn't just think about putting street signs, but we did like a problem tree, solution tree analysis.
Even for the street signs?
Even for the street signs. I gave it to your technician, but he didn't pull it up. And this is something that we did like about 3 years ago. And next week, we actually get somebody to sponsor the signs within the area for the entire Beausejour area. So what we did, we recognized the problem is not street signs. But the problem is identifying location-based areas within Beausejour. That's what the key issue is. And we ask ourselves, why? Why? Because there are no street signs. Why? Because the streets are not named. Right? Why? Because we didn't have money to buy the signs. Why? Because we didn't do X as a community group. Right? Why can't persons find houses within Beausejour? Because the houses are not numbered. Why? Because persons haven't seen the need to put numbers on their houses. Why? Because the community group has not informed them of the need and the reason why. Why, etc. Right? Okay. Why haven't we purchased the signs? Because we don't have money. Why don't we have money? Because we haven't done a fundraising thing. Why haven't we done a fundraising thing? So we break it down. And then we go on at the top where we have the effects, right? We show, okay, if that does not happen, what happens? Then crime. Okay? So burglaries increase. Why? Because, and we ask ourselves, why again? Why? Because the police take a longer time to get to houses, right? And then we ask ourselves, what happens? Any property damage, etc. So we break it down and all that, okay? Why aren't we able to identify areas? Because we don't have a proper information system, right? So what I've done is I've developed a mapping application with all the lots, the block and parcel, and all the houses within the area, and we're getting all the location information, the contact information, so that we can send information at a street level, right? If I need to send information to Darren Sammy Drive, I can just send a text message, or I can send, because I'm an app developer, I can send a notification, a push notification to those people in that street, or I can send it to a particular section of the community, etc. Right? So I'm saying this is the kind of approach that we are taking in solving the issues within the community.
And in your opinion, this methodology can reduce instances of crime, or at least, even if crime were to occur, spring the community into action in a quicker way that could probably assist the police in solving the crime. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, because you have looked at, because it's cause and effect, and you've looked at all the possible causes and reasons, and then you're able to identify who's responsible. So for example, the case of enforcement, where persons are not clearing their lots, this is not something that we can do. We can try to get in touch with the owners, but there's not enforcement. So that speaks to legislation. I mean, all these things that we speak in the document that we have, right? In terms of shared responsibilities. So there are areas that we can do, but where does the council, what's the council's role, right? So there needs to be dialogue, etc., right? In terms of that, in terms of response, right? How do you get more persons to interface with the community group, etc.? So I'm saying this is the methodology that we use to do a lot of the things that we do. So it's not just activity based, it's based on cause and effect. So we look at the outcomes, and instead of looking at the problems, we look at what we want to accomplish. So what do we want to accomplish, right? So the solution, instead of looking at the problem, we look at the solution. So we flip it. So what do I want to accomplish? I want persons to be able to identify areas within the community. So persons who are doing deliveries, persons who, when the first responders, etc., right, can quickly come into the area, etc., right? So this is how we do it, and every single activity, we have this methodology. In fact, that's what we've been doing for the past 2-3 years or so.
There are communities, districts in St. Lucia that still are without civil society groups, without a youth group. Before we had a lot of Mothers and Fathers group, without a development committee. There are persons listening. Can you tell individuals the importance, the reason why it's important to form those groups in their community?
Well, it's in the long and short, it's a matter of life and death.
Wow.
It's even more imperative now. All right? It's imperative now with COVID-19. I mean, we don't know what... In fact, it's not just about COVID-19, because we don't know what kind of hurricane season we will have. We don't know the extent of potential drought. I mean, our disaster response coordinator was telling us that this year we have to brace ourselves for a serious drought. Our last executive meeting 2 weeks ago, she said, Jim, make sure you give me a few minutes for me to speak on that. And I'm saying, people, we warn that there's a serious drought coming, right, that you need to prepare for. So it's not just COVID-19. I mean, look at the incident in St. Vincent. I mean, thank God we didn't have an eruption and all that. I mean, look, we do not know what the future holds. And we focus in myopically on COVID-19. But there are other problems. I mean, we have an election year coming. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, all right? I'm saying you don't know what the unemployment status will be. I'm saying we have to understand that it is time for us to come together, right? To put our differences aside, to forgive one another, to start working, stop all this partisan politics thing that takes us nowhere, right? I mean, look at the convent girls and what they're pushing about the color, but it's positive. It's nice, clean rivalry. I mean, this is a perfect example, right? I mean, my daughter was telling me today, you know, she just did some stuff and how she's going to post this and her house will win and all that, and she's competing with her mom and all that. And I'm saying, this is beautiful. Can we learn something from this? I mean, can the two political, the two heads come together and say, look, for love of country, let's work together?
Like someone say, we're not going to hold our breath on that one.
I don't know, but we have to get to that place. I mean, if somebody wants to start a community group, going back to it, I mean, it's very, very simple. You have to have a heart for it. It's about service, because leadership really is about service. Right? Leadership is not about office, it's not about position, it's about service. And if you love your country, if you love yourself, in fact, not about love, if you love your country, if you care about yourself, you'll want to serve, right? You'll want to give, you'll want to reach out. So just start today. Just go to your neighbor and say, look, we're forming a neighborhood watch group. I mean, we can't physically get together, but I mean, how many of us know the number of the neighbor who's next to us?
I'm sure.
Or the name?
I'm sure, Lord.
How many of us are talking to the neighbor next door? Right? Call your neighbor and say, neighbor, listen, we're not talking to each other for donkey years. I did wrong or you did wrong. I forgive you, ask you to forgive me, and let's work together. What can we do? Right? You need help somewhere? Right? Your child needs help. I'm good at something. I'm good at computers. Can I give your child like some lessons or something, some tutorials, and I can guide it? I can sew. What can I do? Ask yourself, what can I do? Not what the neighbor can do or what the neighbor has done to you, but what can I do? All right? Come together, look, on a street level, start at a street level. All right? And then, you know, work with the social transformation, the Ministry of Social Transformation, because our group is recognized and we registered at the Ministry of Social Transformation. Of course, they will guide you in terms of what you need to do. And if you need assistance, we're there, because we work with several community groups. We worked a year ago with the Capet State Neighborhood Watch Group, and today, I mean, I'm really impressed with what they've done. We're now working with the Kaimaje group to help them set up. We're working with some other groups. So, I mean,
Mr. Joseph, this has been excellent. We're out of time. Final words.
Listen, I don't know what I can say apart from what I have said. You know, it's a challenge that I'm throwing out there to everyone tonight to decide to do some introspection, to ask of yourself, what can I do? What can I do for my family? What can I do for my neighbor? What can I do for my street? What can I do for my community? How can I be a better service? How can I empower persons? How can I rise above the situation that I find myself in and not use my situation as an excuse, either for failure or for something to keep me back from going where God wants me to be? How can I find my purpose? And ultimately, God is the one who shows you your purpose, because He created you And as a master creator, he knows why he created you. So take some time, of introspection. Let's come outside, or at the other end of COVID, a better people, a better country. And if we hold ourselves responsible and accountable, ultimately we will make those in authority responsible, because they'll have no choice.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. And at this point in time, that's where I'd normally end quickly. Shane, just give me a minute. I need you to answer this question. Coming from Facebook, from Junior Yuli, thank you for that question. Mr. Joseph, would it be possible for you to create a website where St. Lucians can give the police tips without giving out their identity? Anonymous website. Is that possible?
Yeah, it is.
It is?
It is.
Okay.
We can speak.
We can speak. All right, Junior Yuli, thank you so much for the question. Mr. Joseph says the police and Mr. Joseph could speak. Thank you so much once again for, it was an excellent show, educational. I'm also pulling out a challenge to my colleagues, my police officers. So many of you don't really get involved in your own community. I believe a police officer should be part of a group in their community, okay? Or at least this person should be so community oriented that they're easily accessible. I mean, there are boundaries there, because we all need our time, but I believe that we need to do more, not just on the job, but even when we're off the job. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Next Tuesday, we should be having the head of immunization of the Ministry of Health to speak about vaccines. Thank you. Have a good night. Next week.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses?